Hey, it's TK11697, and today we're going to be talking about shimming the Walt Trooper Factory TK thigh. This is the thigh here. Normally the thigh at its widest part is 25.5 to 26 inches, but for some people we need a little more than that. Walt does make a bigger thigh, which might be the best way to go, depending on how big your thigh is. But if you just need a few extra inches, shimming is the way to go. Now the way I do it is I'll take 3 1-inch strips. I've got 2 here and I've got 1 already on. And I'll put it in the bottom, middle, and top. And I chose white just to contrast it for the video. You could use any color you want because they're on the inside and nobody should see them. And I personally would use E6000 to put them on because E6000 is a little flexible. You could use CA glue. CA glue is more rigid, but there's pros and cons to both. E6000 will tear off sometimes because if you put too much pressure on it, it'll rip. It's a good glue, but it's meant that you could pull it apart if you make a mistake. Sometimes when you're walking around, you unintentionally pull it apart. The good thing about that is that you're not really going to break anything, it's just one of the shims is going to break loose. If you use CA glue, it's going to be more rigid, and it's really not going to pull apart. But if some sort of extreme pressure is put on that plastic, it's more likely to just break the plastic altogether, and then you could do damage to the thigh itself. That's going to be up to you. I guess it depends on how tight a fit it is, and if you feel like maybe, I don't know, if you're going to do something full contact with your TK kit. The reason I use 3 ribs as opposed to 1 solid strip like this is because you could lose one of the ribs and still get through a troop. You could throw some red duct tape on there or something. But if you use this strip and you put it down the length of it on the inside, if it starts to go, it's going to go all the way and you might just lose the whole leg altogether. Until you can get home and fix it. But you'll be the stormtrooper walking around missing a right leg. So I like the flexibility of the 3 ribs. So in this case, I put about a 2-inch gap. You can see I taped in this rib here, the bottom rib. I start there because what you want is to line up the bottom part first. Since the top part can be trimmed a little further, you want to get this one exactly right. Put this one in the bottom, put another one bends in the middle, another one that bends in the top. Let them dry overnight if you're using the E6000, and then you get something like this. And so this is an exact match because I'm just putting this together at the last minute, but it's a 2-inch piece or 2.5-inch piece of red ABS that Walt includes with his kit, and you put it over the back. Now, if you want to give yourself a little bit more flexibility, and this is why I put the rib up here, you can cut a crescent shape around the back here, and that's still acceptable in the CRL because Stormtroopers in A New Hope did that for more flexibility with their legs. You can do it at the top of the shin too, so that you're not getting plastic bite on the back of your knee, which happens a lot. And that's pretty much it. I said it's, oh, the shim, you notice it's got these edges here. You definitely want to round them down, maybe even cover them with a little tape, because what's going to happen is if you've got sharp edges, they're going to catch on your undersuit and they're going to poke holes in your undersuit, and you definitely don't want that either. So make sure to round them off so that there's nothing sharp. And that's all I could think of. I said shimming is pretty straightforward. I said you're just covering it up. I mean, I wouldn't personally, I would keep the front as close to the CRL as possible, you know, the 20mm strip down the front. Maybe you can go a little bit bigger, 25mm, 30mm. No one's really going to notice that much, not unless someone wants to measure it out. But I would do most of your shimming in the back, just because most people aren't going to see the back. Or really, we don't care about the back. In pictures, everyone's going to take pictures from the front. And that's pretty much it. I would say on, oh, sorry, I would say on the Walt's thigh, you could probably buy yourself 5 inches. Anything bigger than that, and you might have to consider getting that bigger mold that he makes. I don't know how big around that is because I've never bought it, but um, that might get you up to a thigh circumference of 33, 34 inches if you need it. After that, well, we could do some extreme shimming. I said the back is, the back will look like a totally separate plate, but you know, it's better to get you in your armor than to not. All right, that's it. And if you have any other questions, I'll make you another video. All right.